Now, you all know her as the daughter of the Reverend Billy Graham and one of the world's most effective evangelists in her own right. She's also the author of multiple best-selling books. Her latest is this one. It's really timely. It's called Transforming Loneliness, Deepening Our Relationships with God and Others When We Feel Alone. What an honor to welcome back to our show one of my very favorites, Ruth Graham. Ruth, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Governor.
When I saw this book, I really did think this is the time of the season when people really need to have this message about loneliness. People are together at Thanksgiving, they're together at Christmas, but it's also one of the loneliest times that people ever have.
You can be alone in a crowd.
And a lot of people are, aren't they?
They are. You can be alone in a marriage. It's tough. You know, it's so many people are lonely. 54% of Americans feel like they have no one that knows them well. 44% are lonely. And yet loneliness, we attach a shame to it. We feel like we can't tell anybody we're lonely. As a matter of fact, psychologists say that it's easier for people to talk about being depressed than it is about being lonely.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's because, and I experienced this myself when I was doing research for the book, and I was reading a book about loneliness, and I was going to a speaking engagement, and I was going to take it on the plane, and I took it with me, and I began to pull it out and had loneliness in the title, and I thought, you know, the man sitting next to me is going to think I'm lonely, and I don't want him to think that way. So I put it back in my bag.
That's pretty funny. Now, when we talk about loneliness, you said that you can be lonely in a crowd, but last year when COVID shut the world down, there were a lot of people, they really were lonely. They didn't get to see their families. They didn't get to see their neighbors. They were locked up like prisoners in solitary confinement. What did that do to people's souls during that time of isolation?
Well, I hope and pray that it caused them to ask questions about God, and that, you know, with God, we are never truly alone. But yes, we do get lonely, even if we know God. It's just because we know God doesn't mean we don't experience these things, but it can be transformed. We can still feel lonely, but it can be transformed into something that honors Him and helps other people.
The suicide rate during Christmas is the highest of the year.
It's tragic.
Which is it's almost remarkable to think that. It's such a happy time, it's supposed to be. But people have sky-high expectations, often not met, and they really do feel like that they just don't belong here. What can family members do if they sense that they've got someone in their family that is clearly in a deep state of loneliness?
Well, hopefully the lonely person, I use an acronym in the book, REACH. Recognize your signs and symptoms of loneliness and what the causes are, and then express it to someone else. Express it to God first, then express it to at least one other person, a trusted person, a pastor, a counselor, a friend, and then anticipate that God will transform that loneliness. And then connect with other people. Reach out. Look around in church even. People are sitting by themselves. Go sit beside them. Connect with another person. Gym class, book club, whatever it is. Connect with other people, and then honor God with your loneliness. How do you do that? You give it to Him. You can say, God, I'm lonely. Be honest with God. He can work with that. I'm lonely, but I give it to you so that you can use it for your purpose and my good. And He will. You
mentioned people can be lonely in a marriage. So even if they're surrounded by somebody to whom they've committed their life, you're saying that still can be a lonely relationship.
Very much so, maybe more so, because couples don't get along, they're angry with each other, they're not communicating, they're emotionally withdrawn from each other. That's a very lonely place to be.
And one of the things, if you could just give one just touch from the book, the lesson that you hope people will receive, what is it?
I want them to reach. I want them to REACH, and they can read the book and they can just understand what that means more fully. But I think it's important for them to really recognize their symptoms, the sources, anticipate what God can do, and connect with other people and honor God with their loneliness.
I hope people will read the book. Learn more about Ruth Graham, her writing, and her ministry at our brand new website. We've redesigned it to make it easy so you can go to one place and you can learn about all the guests we have on the show tonight, every one of them.